That's really cool. Now, do you consider yourself a validation provider at all? I know that you guys have contacts companies. Do you verify data at all?
So we have a really unique way of sort of aggregating and pulling our data in. And I would say there is a sense of validation, but it's a little bit different than how other companies would consider it a validation. So one is we did start this unique partnership with the venture community back in 2007, where they actually are sharing access to their private portfolios of new companies they're investing in. And we'll take that data and use that to put into Crunchbase. So that's one source. And it's such an interesting way of doing this because it's firsthand data directly from the source. And then secondly, we realize in order to scale efficiently and keep these profiles up to date, we need to get in touch with our community. So we offer a way for our community to actually come in and update their own profiles. And how we're validating that is we have a few different steps in process where you have to authenticate, log in with a social profile, and then you're able to go in and update data, right? If you raise this Series A, you're based out of Boston, things like that. So that's our second way of updating data. The third way is we actually have full-time employees, both in-house people at our office here in San Francisco or remote right now. And we also have employees across the globe that are working continuously 24/7 to go in and update those profiles more with a manual sort of process and hand curated. So that's our third way. And then finally, we do have a robust data science team. So we've built out ways to go out and crawl the web and bring in publicly available information as an extra layer to go and validate some of these data points. And the unique thing is all of these data pipelines, those 4 different sources, are working 24/7. And we use those to validate each other. So we can get an update from a venture capitalist saying we just invested $50 million in a Series B company, and then actually get that validation from the head of marketing saying we just raised $50 million. So it's a really unique way of us validating that data in Crunchbase. And lastly, another hidden secret is Crunchbase is available for anyone to go on the web and look at. We have over 60 million people a year that come to Crunchbase, and we have an active audience. So if there is something that might be out of date or people need to double check, they'll write into our support team. Customer experience team is incredible. And we use that to help fuel some of those updates and validation as well.
Okay. Would you consider your updates on like capital raised or any of the other fields that you provide, do you get that information quicker than other providers, or is there any competitive advantage there?
Yeah, that is one of our big competitive advantages. Since it is a live database, we don't solely rely on SEC filings that can be a little bit archaic and take time. And we're also monitoring tens of thousands of news feeds, both on Twitter and verified accounts. That's helping us fuel these daily funding rounds. And you can actually sign up for Crunchbase Daily, and you'll see a lot of these updates come in. And that's really the proof is in the pudding type of thing. So it is a nice way of getting that live, fresh funding data as soon as it's announced.
I've been subscribed to that for many years now. It's a great feed. I get it every day, and it's one of the very few like mass emails that I open up every single time I get it.
John, you're one of our most loyal fans. We appreciate it.
Yeah. In terms of how you would categorize your data, is it purely B2B, or do you have any B2C use case?
Yeah, I would say we have a sweet spot in B2B, but we do track B2C companies. And again, sort of going back to our meta thesis is we track innovative growing companies, right? So again, the TikTok example might be a consumer play, but we're seeing incredible opportunity arise with this. And there's multiple different ways of looking at that, right? It's from an advertising perspective, from an audience perspective, and there's going to be a lot of different vendors popping up to monetize and cater to TikTok as a brand. And that's a consumer brand. But in terms of categorizing these companies, we also have a unique way, and we realize sort of the traditional approach of sort of tagging a company as like a software company was just a little too open-ended. So our data team actually went out and created our own Crunchbase industry tags. So we are constantly polling both our audience and doing independent research to see, hey, there's a new category that might not be a Gartner Magic Quadrant right now, but we're seeing explosion in terms of funding going into these companies. Things like legal tech, fintech, cryptocurrencies, things like that. So we're actually tagging them at the company level with these specific industries. And to round it off, it's tough to say exactly what the mix is between B2B and B2C. But I'd say a lot of the venture money does end up going into B2B, but we also have some big consumer brands that shouldn't be discounted.
Awesome. Yeah. Do you consider yourself an enrichment provider, a list provider, or both?
It's a little bit of both. I'd lean more towards an enrichment provider. For us, we do help provide lists in terms of accounts you can sell into. But we're not in the business of selling or providing emails and phone numbers. So we'll help you come up with a list of the top 100 accounts you should be selling into right now. And we're going to give you all of the firmographic data in terms of investors, founders, and things like that. But I wouldn't say we're a quote unquote list builder, but there is a list feature that you could say, hey, this is a list of new accounts. But primarily, I would say if I had to pick one, it'd probably be more on the enrichment side.
And I always prefer, when you have vendors that they specialize, and I think that's a good choice, right? You guys are, the best I've worked with. Obviously, that free search engine makes it a lot easier for somebody like me to find the data. But I really think that that makes you guys unique. So